Good morning and welcome to the Fairfield University Study Abroad Options and Opportunities webinar. I'm Patricia Pavarnik from the Office of Study Abroad and the Associate Director, and my colleague here is Nicole Maffa, our External Relations Manager from the office.
Today what we're going to do is we're going to have an overview. We're going to go over what to do, so what the planning process looks like. We're going to talk about where to go, so what study abroad options are there for Fairfield students, and when to do it, so what the timelines and what the deadlines are for our opportunities. As it relates to planning, every student at Fairfield, regardless of major, has the opportunity to study abroad at least once, if not more than once, during their time here on campus. We do recommend that students start planning early. We do have a study abroad fair in early September, and we'll have another one later in the in the spring semester for students to learn more about our program options, and we'll have another event as well next year in the early fall. We also have a number of first step sessions, which is really the first place for students to start exploring their program options. And I'll pass it over to Patricia to talk a bit more about that.
So how are students eligible to study abroad? So all students can study abroad, and the best thing to do, as Nicole just mentioned, was to first attend a first step session because in those sessions we go over how to find a program that best fits for you, how to look at programs based on majors, terms, and costs. So those are the first major areas that you should explore and get defined, and then you can go on from there. A good disciplinary record is good for all students, but especially for study abroad students. So we check that with our Dean of Students at the point of application before we accept students, and then again before they participate. Also, a GPA, a cumulative GPA of 2.8 is our requirement in the Office of Study Abroad, but as students get and explore their programs in more detail, some do have variations to that, so they should definitely make note of those requirements.
Absolutely. So as it relates to advising, as Patricia mentioned, we do have a number of programs, and the first step session really allows students to explore what programs are best for them. And you'll see here on the screen, this here is our advising philosophy. So we want students to think about a number of factors. So really set goals. We tell students, think about why they selected Fairfield. Was it because it was a Jesuit school? Was it because we have small classroom sizes where they really get to know their faculty and staff? And if they're looking to have a similar or a dissimilar experience abroad. We have programs that have this similar academic style to Fairfield, and we also have partner schools that have different academic structures. They might be assessed differently. They might have larger classroom sizes. So having an understanding of what academically they're looking for will help them in identifying a program. We also want them to consider all program components. That includes everything from the extracurricular activities to if there's an internship that they're looking to participate in, service learning engagement. So really taking the time to think that through, host family, things of that nature. Also, from there, they can then narrow that down and choose the best program fit for them and apply to one program.
So there are a variety of types of programs that students can engage in. A lot of students are university. The most common program type is the semester program, which is available in locations that can range from Europe to Asia, South America, in Russia, everywhere. So that is one type, and that takes a lot of planning because we want students not to go abroad and then extend their time here at the university. We want to make sure that it works with them academically, with their major, and again, as Nicole was saying, making sure that the semester abroad will enhance their academics rather than cause for replanning of their academics. We also have programs that students can do from freshman year that are during the summer. They can last for 3 to 8 weeks, and quite often students who aren't sure if they're ready to study abroad will start off with a program like that. Athletes, students who are working during the semester and just can't be abroad for a whole semester, summer is a wonderful option. It's also a way to find that it's a very special class that is only offered abroad and fitted into their schedule and come back with that comparative, which is really great. We have faculty-led programs that our faculty basically take their course on the road, and they take it on the road because they're enhancing the learning because of the location. For example, we have a wonderful history program that takes students to St. Petersburg, and the faculty teach the history of St. Petersburg. So although they have a textbook, the city is their text, and students just come back learning the topic in such a different way. They're just charged up and ready, and quite often students will do that early on and then be inspired to go for a semester abroad. A couple of our programs even offer a year-long option. Those are very select, and they're for just the right students, so students can explore that as well. So we have a big list of programs that that are approved that students can choose from. But a way to define two major groups is a Fairfield Center program and then a affiliate program. So I'll start with the center programs. As you can see, our locations of the center programs, they do take us to many places throughout the world. What that means is that we have almost a small Fairfield staff at those locations. So we have support there that's very similar to the support that Fairfield offers here. So that comes from the orientation, that's RA, PA type environment in our housing, customized program. Very important aspect of this is that students receive Fairfield credit and grade. So they're just stay right on track with their program, their academics, and their GPA. Those are the major things. Now, an affiliate program and university is an approved program, and a lot of them are unique in their own way, and that's why we've approved them and we work with them because they offer an opportunity to our students that our centers cannot. They're administered by an outside organization that does a great orientation, that does trips and planning, just like our on-site support does with our centers. Students can look at these, and they do go beyond our centers. So it's over 50 plus programs that could take them around the world, and even to Washington, D.C., some domestic partners out in California. They do receive transfer credit, though. So it's just not a grade, but they are if they receive a C or better, the student gets transfer credit. And so there's some examples here on this list with some strong academic fits in some of our affiliate programs in South Korea. The School for Field Studies is a wonderful program for students who want to do research and field learning. That's not traditional. Sometimes you're sleeping in a tent, a camp. So this is for the student who's looking for something different, and a smaller portion of Fairfield University students will be on that program. So a lot of our students like to kind of step out and do something that's unique.
So as Patricia mentioned, we do have different types of programs, and to help students narrow down the best program for them, we've worked with the academic departments on campus to create preferred programs by college and major. So on the screen here, you'll see just a brief example of some of them. And this list is always changing. So we, I think, finalized our presentation about a week and a half ago, and we're already pleased to announce we can add another preferred program to this list for engineering. So a new preferred location for our sophomore engineering majors for the fall semester is with our partner with Queen Mary University in London. So we're very excited to make that announcement. Unfortunately, It is not on the screen, but the point really goes to show that we work very closely with these academic departments. We are always looking to add new partnerships and make new pathways for these students to have these really intentional academic semesters and summers abroad. So we work with students in the departments to ensure that the courses are approved before the students even leave campus, so that they know the types of classes they're taking while they're abroad. So how are they approved at Fairfield, and how will that integrate back into their college career so they can plan accordingly? One thing to note is you'll see an asterisk on some of these programs. Those do require a nomination from the department. So that's something that we work closely with the department on. And typically those nominations are based on academic performance in specific classes or certain prerequisites, as well as a GPA component. For any questions, we do have some of that information on the respective brochure pages, and our office is also happy to answer those, as well as the dean's office from the respective schools. As it relates to the financial consideration, that is obviously something we want all students and families to be mindful of. For the semester, if a student is interested in participating in any of our approved programs, they are going to be charged and billed as if they were on campus. So they will be charged Fairfield University's tuition and the Fairfield University townhouse room charge. The reason you see board where applicable in that green circle is because not all of our programs provide students with a meal plan. So a cookbook is a really great holiday gift, as most of our students are living in apartments or residents where they are responsible for cooking their own meals. For students who live with a host family or have a residence hall accommodation style where they're provided meals, Fairfield will charge them a percentage of the Fairfield meal plan that is comparable to their program. There are other costs associated with study abroad, so we do want to be mindful that there are other external costs to budget for. So for example, we do need students to be mindful of those meals, as we mentioned earlier. How much is that going to cost? So budgeting for grocery shopping versus eating out is obviously going to vary, especially by the student's personal preference. And also flights. So the flight is not included in the student's program. It is something that they are responsible for. Part of the international travel policy at Fairfield is that all students, staff, and faculty traveling internationally need to book through the STA travel organization. And it's from a risk management perspective. So we work with students and STA to ensure that the students are getting a great student rate for their airfare. The last big piece to be mindful of is this visa fee. So the visa noted here is different than a Visa credit card. The visa here is actually a document that will legally allow students to study abroad for a semester. And those visa fees can range. So some of the visa fees could be as minimal as $50 or could be upwards of $1,500. So we really want students to be mindful when selecting a program of what those additional costs could be, so that, as we can see in our last circle, that they're planning ahead accordingly. So really making a budget, applying for external scholarships. We do recommend for case-specific questions. All students actually have a financial aid advisor or counselor through the Office of Financial Aid. They're actually mapped by last name. So if you have any questions or your student has any questions as it relates to their specific financial aid package, which we'll talk about in a little bit, they can map to the financial aid team.
And so there's also a different way that students pay for their program fee when going to summer or faculty-led. We encompass all the costs into a program fee, so it includes your credits, your accommodations, orientation, transportation in country, and any excursions that might be associated with these short-term programs. That comes over as a program fee, and so it's outside of your tuition fee expenses. In addition to meals where applicable, a lot of times a short-term program will include a welcome meal or a farewell meal just because you're going with a faculty or it's a small group environment. But besides that, typically they are meals on their own, staying in the apartments or in a hotel that might offer breakfast each day. But all that is communicated in the information on the brochure page. And then in addition, again, the flights. We usually do a suggested or mandatory group flights for these small programs, and that comes communicated by the advisor, and it's through our partner, STA Travel, and visas, which are a little less common for the short-term program, but quite often a requirement and an expense to think about. Again, on our website, when students are looking at the programs, we call them the brochure pages, students can find a budget section, and we go over this with them at that first steps information session, but there's a budget section for an idea, estimated cost for visas, meals, any sort of extra incidentals. Again, making a budget, applying for scholarships, both internally and externally, And planning far ahead, we do these short-term programs about 6 to 9 months ahead of time, so students can be working towards it, asking for the holidays for some money towards their programming. So we do try to give plenty of advance notice so students can financially plan ahead.
So as it relates to financing, Fairfield scholarships and aid, including federal funds, may be used for one semester. There are some majors and some programs where students may use their aid for a full year, and those programs, as you can see, are listed below. So the London School of Economics, the Hospitality Concentration, that's new with our Dolan School of Business, and Blackfriars, students are able to use their financial aid for the full year. And as mentioned, certain majors. So students such as international studies, international business, and modern languages majors have the opportunity to go abroad more than once. As mentioned previously, if you have specific questions regarding your financial aid package, maybe you receive an athletic scholarship or your student receives, a Pell Grant, unpacking that with their financial aid counselor will be the most beneficial to ensure that they're making an informed decision on their semester or summer term abroad and how they can financially budget.
So the advising process. We've mentioned this information session. They will continue throughout the end of the application cycle. So our application cycle for semester and year abroad for sophomores now that will be thinking about studying abroad for their junior year, and some special programs for sophomores is open. It's been open since October 1st, and it will close on December 1st. So those information sessions are being offered from our office each day, and that is a mandatory requirement within their application. The summer session programs and the faculty-led programs, they have a different deadline. They're open. Most of them are. Some of the faculty-led have closed because of their deadlines, but students should definitely refer to the brochure and the dates and deadlines section for that information. They can continue to do their research, especially for the semester abroad. They still have a month for freshmen, doing research on those short-term programs and seeing if they do qualify for a sophomore program. This is the time to be doing it. They're advising now. They're going to be selecting their spring courses in the next days. I think some of them have begun this week, but over the next 2 weeks or so, we'll be doing scheduling for spring semester classes. And knowing that study abroad opportunities on the horizon, it's really important to be talking to your advisors at this time. And so we suggest that. And if after their academic advisor conversation, they still have some questions about the programs and the details. What is the internship? It is for credit. What does that mean? And what is my commitment? What is it like to stay at a homestay? Can you tell me some of the program details? They certainly are welcome to make an appointment with one of our advisors in the office where we could talk to them about that. And then finally, finish the application and apply. There's an $80 application fee that is required at the end to submit. And then we will work on that acceptance process throughout the month of December and January. By February 1st, we'll be telling students that they've been accepted into their semester or year program abroad. Summer will run on a rolling admissions, faculty-led. Again, as I mentioned, they have different dates and deadlines, so students can expect to hear about the short-term and the faculty-led programs on a different cycle. But that's where we are in our timeline for students. So they're wrapping up their applications. They have a month to get those done, and then we'll be making that announcement on February 1st. So this website is a great place for you to start as well. There is a tab for parents' tips that we strongly suggest that our parents review. It goes over all the programs and then all the things that parents should be thinking about and having conversations with their student, from picking the best program to what is a visa, why do I need to start talking to my student about getting their own personal credit card, some of the things that maybe accessibility issues, some of the services that you're getting here on campus, how can they and what program would be the best program to satisfy those same needs abroad. Because those are good conversations to have early on so that we can be a resource and they can go to other resources on campus to make sure that they are going to seamlessly have this experience. They do have some recommendation letters, 2 of them, from faculty that we are asking them to incorporate into their application. And we have been telling the students the sooner they ask the faculty, the better, because again, we have about 300 to 400 applications that come through at this time. And so faculty are being asked to do these, so we ask they give them time. We do also ask students to think about backup programs. A backup program can mean the same location in a different semester. A backup program can mean, I either can go this semester in this location, or I'm going to think about that summer program. Or a backup program could be, I'm not sure, I think London, but if I had to pick a backup, it's going to be Galway. So talking it through, looking academically, what you want to achieve when you do go abroad, and what program can help as a backup satisfy those same needs. There's some electronically signed, we call them electronic signature documents that students should really take the time to read, giving them a really strong overview of what it means to study abroad and what it means in code of conduct here on campus and abroad, what kind of housing requirements and issues that we ask them to know ahead of time. The more that seriously they read this material and commit to it, the better experiences students have while they're abroad. And then also the final is the course selection worksheet, where again we're asking students, look at this program, look at the courses that are typically being offered and how they've been approved, and how is that going back into your degree evaluation here on campus. Very important, and faculty are very aware of the best fits, tracks, and options for our students.
So as Patricia mentioned earlier, we do have different deadlines for different programs. So what we've highlighted here are the deadlines for the center programs. The reason that's up is those are typically coming first. So as Patricia mentioned, they are all open. So if anyone is planning on studying abroad for the 2021 academic year, those applications are open now, and they will close on December 1st. Just because a student has applied does not mean that they're committing to that program. So our office takes about 2 months, a month and a half to go ahead and read through all of those applications. And then we notify the students on February 1st if they have been approved to participate either in their first choice program or their backup choice program. So we'll navigate that conversation with the students. But the commitment, the decision to participate is due on March 1st. For our semester programs, that's in the form of a $1,000 deposit. So it's a financial commitment. It's not in addition to Fairfield's tuition and room. It's actually part of. We're asking almost for that down payment. So when your student receives their bill for their respective term abroad, it'll be Fairfield tuition and room less the $1,000 that has been paid back in March. And again, it's just so that we're able to confirm with our site staff how many students are coming. We can procure housing. We can ensure that the programming is set for the students. So that's why we're doing that a bit earlier. You'll see that summer on the far right-hand column is a bit different. The time frame is similar, but a little bit more extended. Typically, students aren't looking for visas. The course registration process is a little bit less intensive since they're taking less credits over the summer versus the semester. So you can see that time frame there. But those are rolling. We do have some capacity restrictions in some of our locations. I think our Athens program is almost at capacity. So if you have a student looking for that summer program, now is definitely the time to apply. And talking about that with your student over the Thanksgiving holiday is definitely something we would recommend. And again, one difference for the summer is that instead of a deposit, it's the full payment that's due in March. So that, again, to Patricia's comment earlier, is that program fee that we collect online. So following the approval, so once those students are accepted on that February 1st date, we kind of go through with them information about academics, about programming, and really making sure that the students have an understanding before they commit of what program they're signing up for and what really those program details cover. So if they still had questions that were lingering from the application process, we make sure that all of that's smoothed out once they're accepted. We make sure that the students understand what classes are available to them and how they're approved, and provide them with the resources to communicate with their faculty if they have questions on kind of the sequencing of their classes, how those count back. We talk about course registration and that process. So the course registration process is a bit different than Fairfield's, and each partner school functions differently. So we ensure the students have the knowledge and resources to have a successful registration, as well as academic policies. So we do have some academic policies set in place that are a bit different from Fairfield, because we want to make sure that we're supporting our partner schools abroad. We additionally have program information that we'll go over. So we talk about when they need to arrive. As Patricia mentioned, some programs will have suggested itineraries or mandatory group flights, so we ensure the students have access to that information in a timely manner. We also provide them with information about their passport and visa and give them those respective resources, as well as medical insurance information. We do have medical insurance that all students are enrolled in. It is comprehensive insurance that's supplemental to what they have here in the States. So their insurance abroad should not replace their domestic coverage. It's supplemental and in addition to. And that will assist students with everything from having an earache and needing to go see a doctor, medication, hospitalization, and God forbid, coming home. So it does cover all of those aspects, and that information is also on our website if you would like to read through that policy plan. We also have a comprehensive pre-departure program with our students that's shifting. We're actually doing a hybrid of both online and in person, so it's something that all families are able to review together. We have alumni engagement opportunities, so students really get to see firsthand and hear firsthand from students what their experience was like, what class was like, really having a great understanding of that host family dynamic and how exciting that is for them to have that cultural immersion together. We go over health and safety, making sure that they know who their main points of contact are, as well as student conduct, making sure that they have an understanding of both the partner universities' policies and Fairfield's policies as it relates to conduct. Housing, so, can I have 6 of my best friends living with me while I'm abroad? Unfortunately, the answer is no. We will do our best to accommodate your housing requests, but, we can't have the whole family moving in for the semester. And we also talk about risk management and managing expectations while we're there. So we really work with the student comprehensively prior to departure to make sure that they have everything covered from, again, academics, health and safety to the programmatic aspects.
So as I mentioned a few slides ago, we do have a parents tip section on our website. So that would be, I strongly advise that after this webinar that you go to that site and just read, review any questions that you might have, anything that comes up from the material, just feel free to email any of us, and we can have an email conversation or a telephone conversation. The more informed you are, the more informed the students will be, and the smoother their process will be. We also have a very active social media platform, so we encourage whatever you're most comfortable with to please join, please follow, like, whatever, whichever one you're doing. We try to use this not only to promote our programs in general, but to also promote deadlines, dates, deadlines, and highlight some of the wonderful things going on. So we do strongly, I see a lot of parents on Facebook and Twitter and students on Instagram. So it's been really great. We even sometimes get on the Fairfield U channels and Snapchat. So definitely connect with us, and we'd be happy to connect back with you. I think here's some information about our office, our telephone numbers, email, and again, the website. But if we're here, and we're going to see if there's any questions, but I think we covered everything. And please feel free to connect with us next time you're here on campus. Thank you for the time.
Hi, so we've had a couple questions come in so far, but just wanted to remind everyone that if you still have any questions that you would like answered live on this webinar, please feel free to enter them in the chat section of YouTube or email us at engagement@fairfield.edu, and we'll answer those questions for you right now. So one question that we have is, how early should students connect with a representative from study abroad if they're thinking about studying abroad? You mentioned those first step sessions, but how early should they realistically be connecting?
As soon as they get on campus, and we're kind of there. So this fall, we were the first Friday, we were there at Activities Fair, and we met a lot of students, just greeting them, welcoming them, making sure their adjustment was good. Actually, we met a lot of them at orientation as well, so we're there at orientation. Got to meet some of the parents as well. And then again, we have that study abroad fair the third Tuesday of the month of September, and a lot of freshmen do come to that, and sophomores. And then we're out and about. We have tables in the Tully and the Student Center. We have special events that we're inviting students. If you're nominated, you get invited to special nomination meetings. So the earlier the better, because we could just really fill your brain with all the options and really go through a lot of the questions. So.
And depending on the program and the major, there's some sequencing to be mindful of. So for example, nursing students, they have customized programs with special curriculum, so ensuring that your student is having an understanding of what those prerequisites might be. If you're taking a social science class, for example, in Australia, as a nursing student, make sure to save that and not to take that earlier. So to Patricia's point, you really can't plan early enough, but again, if that conversation hasn't started now, it's definitely not too late. Even if you're a sophomore family joining us today, I know it's a first year presentation, but if you're a sophomore family, there's still time for sure.
Great. So should students start talking to their academic advisors or study abroad first? Or is it a chicken and the egg kind of question of talk to both of them, but it doesn't matter what order?
That's a great question. Both are great. We do, again, recommend those first step sessions. They're a really wonderful, strong tool and platform. But really taking some time to meet with their faculty and having an understanding of, I'm an undeclared student and I'm not really sure where I want to go or what I want to major in, will allow the student to have an opportunity to maybe even study abroad earlier. So again, planning early is great, and having conversations with both of us simultaneously is great as well. But faculty advisors, at least I recommend starting with, since all of our programs are grounded in the academics, and mapping to them on what types of programs are maybe preferred for their majors. For example, we have a phenomenal program with psychology. The psychology department talks to all of their students about the London program, and is really kind of that great starting point for students. But either way, both of our offices, whether it's their academic office or us, are there to support the students through their time in program.
Yep, and sometimes students choose a major or a minor because of study abroad. So, for example, language, they really only have to take one semester, but if they're really enjoying their time in Spanish or Italian or French, we could talk to them now about how easily they can earn a minor by that early commitment and doing a semester abroad, and like we said, again, sequencing the right courses, so when they come back they might be done the minor or they might be a course away. So it's a really, again, complement and supplement and enhancement to the student's academic experience. It's not a study abroad to take them away from all that, it's actually to enhance all that.
Absolutely.
Wonderful, thanks. Are students able to do multiple study abroad experiences when they're at Fairfield?
Yes. We've had students who have participated in programs. So we've had students that have done 2-semester programs. So for example, I can recall a student who studied abroad with our program in the Beijing Center and studied abroad again at our partner school in South Korea with Sogang University. It's another Jesuit school. We've had students that have studied abroad for a semester in Australia and then have gone to Berlin. We've had students that have done a program in Sharjah and Washington, D.C. and London. So, really, again, the earlier the plan, the more that they have accessible to them. We've had students that have done 4 summer programs and a faculty-led and then a semester. So, again, really having that time to think about what they're looking for out of their experience here at Fairfield is going to enhance and supplement their opportunities abroad.
Wonderful. And last question for you is, do you have any recommendations of where folks can find scholarships specifically for study abroad?
Yep, on our webpage, both on the students, under Fairfield students, and also under parents tips. We do have a large section of scholarships, and sometimes they're internal, sometimes they're with our centers or our partner institutions, and other times they're external. So certainly, again, with early planning, the options are varied and robust. So, yep, getting onto that website is a great idea, and doing some searches, some internet searches of, defining yourself or your student. They might be first gen, they might be a woman, Pell eligible, a woman in engineering. Lots of different reasons why scholarships happen. So be creative and do your research.
Absolutely.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us today. If you do have any follow-up questions, feel free to reach out with the contact information that's currently on the screen or by emailing engagement@fairfield.edu. Have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thanks,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Bye.
Bye.